Hey surfers, welcome back to another episode on LST 101. Today is August 19th, uh, weekend edition, and the market is at 28.53. So this is the hourly chart of what happened in this past week. Prior weekend was in this area right here, and since then we hit resistance at 28.40, and we're able to pull back down all the way to 2800 within in just that one day, but then since then have kind of gone up for the S&P 500. So that's the S&P 500. The Nasdaq is a little bit of a different story. All right, so let me just pull up a trading view. So S&P, that same chart is right here. So the last weekend was around the 12th or so, is around this area, and right here, and we hit 2840 resistance. Yeah, you can actually see a little bit of resistance forming on the 10th. So it turns out that resistance zone right here was tested, failed, was tested again, and failed again. So three times it failed, and it turns out the next day it plummeted, right? So that's a 40-point drop from 2840 all the way down to 2803. And from there, we were able to do what looks like a truncated fifth wave, where the third wave is lower than the fifth wave, and then from there we rebound. So it looks like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4, and then what looks to be potentially a fifth wave higher. And that, my guess, is we're going to hit resistance in this same area, 2862, before pulling back either somewhere in this region, probably either to 2847 or 2843, or maybe retesting this area one more time. My best guess is probably we'll pull back to 2840, 42, 43, after retesting 2862. So that would be a 20-point drawdown if we were to get there before retesting the highs once more. So that's the S&P 500 forecast. The Nasdaq, much weaker, right? So we have all those FANG stocks getting crushed, except for Apple. And initially, it looked like earlier in the week we pulled back, but then we were able to go over this resistance zone. But it turns out we hit this resistance zone and pulled all the way back, even lower, right? So that's quite of a significant move there. And so the Nasdaq has pulled back quite a significant amount. Um, if you look back, let's take a look back on a 4-hour chart. So we're used to kind of the Nasdaq constantly making new highs, but if you look at it back in July 12th, it's been over a month, August 19th, that we're pretty much still in the same area, right? So we haven't moved up much compared to the S&P. You look at July 12th, and August 19th were higher, right? So the S&P in the last month has been stronger. That we're talking about financials, stronger than energy sectors, stronger than the tech sector. The tech sector really uh, pulling back and not moving higher. And that's largely due to names like Amazon, right? So, uh, Amazon is near the highs, but it did like pull back a significant amount, and at least it's not trending higher as fast as it was before. You have things like Netflix getting crushed, right? After earnings, uh, tried to rally, hit resistance, and from there, you know, uh, it looks like I can't even, not even sure how to count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's possible that we hit support here. Um, Netflix, Microsoft, hovering in this area uh, since I would say since around for a month basically, and Facebook really leading on the downside. Um, and so a lot of these FANG stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, missing Google here. Um, All right, so adding Google chart right here at 1200. It announced earnings. This was at 1200, shot up, and after what that was like almost a month, it's just right back below where it announced earnings, where it blow out earnings, right? So, that's a kind of surprising action on the Google side. We do have support in the 1175 region. Um, and certainly in this area, there's some kind of support. But the fact that it pulled back this much is potentially alarming for Nasdaq tech stocks related. And so, looking back at the Nasdaq chart, it does look like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the downside. So it does look like there is support. It's retested twice in this 73.25 region. It tested it on two separate days. So it looks like this region at least could be serve as support. Now, could it pull back a little bit? Sure, it can. You zoom in a little bit more, and you'll see that it had resistance in 73.85 region, but was able to cross it right at the end of the day on Friday. So it looks like there's a more of a bullish bias than there was in the last couple of days going forward. Now, S&P is much stronger, and and the Dow has been particularly strong, right? So, I would imagine Dow stocks. You got some of the leaders, Boeing, you got Walmart. Walmart beat out a lot of earnings, and probably that put pressure on Amazon. Walmart was up like 10%. Let me just bring that chart up. Walmart, right? So Walmart was at 90, and it just popped up like a 10% plus, and is hovering around the upper 90s. And so that's a huge element of the Dow, and so that helped push the Dow futures, which is YM, up. And so while the Dow is very strong, followed by the S&P 500 and then Nasdaq. Now the Russell has been chopping a lot, right? So it does look like we have this ABC formation, and potentially a bullish follow through where if we break this resistance zone, we might pull back just maybe to 1691. But if we are able to clear resistance in the 1697 region, this could start moving to the upside potentially. But there's also a lot of resistance zones here too, so there could be a lot of chop in this area, I would imagine, before we eventually move up higher. So it looks like the S&P 500 is positioned to move higher, and we do have resistance, in this 2860 to 2880 region again. So I said earlier, if we're able to test it and pull back, we could pull back to this region here, 2800, one more time, and if not, we might pull back to 2835, 2840. So that's my guess right now. We hit 2860, pull back to 2840, and then try 2880. So that's my best guess for what's going to happen in the S&P 500. Now with Bitcoin failed at the 6800 region, which 6800 region, which was the 61.8 retracement center ratio, and it actually made a lower than the bottom of the wave 2. Now it's possible that it could be saved, but right now it's coiling up, but if you look at the Ethereum, I think it's possible that there was kind of like that capitulation moment that everybody who has Ethereum, a lot of the ICOs that received Ethereum, and are locked up and from a year ago, and basically wanted to convert their holdings into fiat so they can use to fund their operations, and that selling capitulation drove it basically below where the rally started, right? So the rally started probably around this 285 region, and the fact that it flushed all the way down to 255, and it could be a sign of capitulation, right? So we're seeing that in Ethereum. a lot of the altcoins. EOS flushed, basically retesting that bottom, and now with Bitcoin, it didn't make a new low, but it definitely retested that 6,000 zone, which it tested once, twice, three, four, five times, six times, and so far it's holding and it's spending a lot of time here, and it looks like it's coiling up. So could it pull back down? It looks like that could be possible, but in terms of wave counts, it'd be difficult to make sense of another pullback down because we have one, two, three, ABC fourth, and then a fifth. Unless we look at this in a weekly chart. So if we look at this in a weekly chart, we have what looks like a 1, 2, 3, ABC fourth, and then a 5. All right, so the question is this 5 done? Well, it could be another week, one more week of red, and then after that, it really has to go green. Otherwise, this pattern falls apart. So it seems like we're close. We could be there already, but something in this region. If there's follow through, then it's a good sign for the bulls, obviously. But right now, I'm starting to run out of potential waves here in order to make sense of this correction. The good sign though is that the Ethereum price looks like it's potentially flushed, where it fell from 470 all the way down to 250. So that's almost a 40% drop, just like here, and the fact that it's rebounding so far is at least a promising sign. So that's the analysis for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and earlier provided the S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Dow. I would say the S&P 500 is a little bit stronger than the Nasdaq, unless some of the big Nasdaq names can recover, such as Netflix, Facebook, and Google. So right now, the strongest index appears to be Dow, followed by S&P 500. So that's the analysis for this week. I'll see you guys next time.